Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that I feel like I have a bit of a unique perspective on, and I want to start off by saying that this is by no means me trying to put Rees Zammit down. I hope him the best. It seems like it's a genuine dream for him, so I want him to succeed. I really want him to, make this jump over, and it's not impossible. So for those of you that are also NFL fans like me, I am an NFL fan, and I'll show you something. I am a Minnesota Vikings fan, big time. Love them. Just going to put that down there. I probably would be just as emotional if Minnesota won the Super Bowl than if England won the World Cup, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm that much of a fan of them. I've watched them for over 10 years. I joined when Brett Favre came in for his second season and he was terrible. So I know a little bit about this, and there is an example of where this has worked for players that have come into the NFL, that have come from outside sources. Jordan Mailata, who plays for the Eagles, he is now one of the superstars of the NFL, and he's really made a name for himself. But for Rees Zammit himself, I think it's just more unlikely, and there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is the main thing he brings to rugby is speed in attack. He's competing with college athletes that are probably just as fast as him, but they also have over 20 years of playing the game that is very, very technical. Rugby and American football are very, very different sports, obviously, and the biggest difference is that each of the players in their position, whether it's wide receiver, running back, offensive line, or anywhere in the defense like linebacker or defensive tackle, all of these players that play this position are specialized. They've played this position at least at the college level. There is some rare cases where players change over from positions from college to the NFL. Julian Edelman is an example where he played quarterback and he came in at wide receiver. Ryan Tannehill played at wide receiver and then he came and played quarterback in the NFL. But for the most part, these players have been practicing their position and the elements of it and all the ins and outs of it for over 20 years. And because they're so specialized, they've been practicing very specific skills for a very intensive amount of time. Whereas rugby, your skill set's more broad. General fitness in terms of cardiovascular fitness is a much more of a priority than it is in the NFL. To use an example of this, I'll take one of the positions that Rees Zammit has said he could play, so he said he could play running back or he could play wide receiver. Running back, for example, needs to be able to follow blocks, needs to have explosive acceleration to hit holes, also needs to be able to pass block, needs to be able to read a blitz that's coming towards him, needs to be able to get out and find space in third down situations or any passing downs. And Rees Zammit doesn't have any of these skill sets inherently other than the acceleration. So all the other elements that is very specific to football, he doesn't come with, and he'll be competing with people that are probably just as fast as him. So that's one element. I think another really important thing to note here as well is also the pool of players in terms of American football and its popularity. It is the most popular sport in America by far. I'll try and find some statistics for you for how it competes with other sports in America specifically, but the viewership numbers blows everything else out of the water. So you can probably assume that the engagement and players coming up through the ranks in terms of a pool of players is huge, right? And I don't think rugby has that same competition. Yes, I'll be honest with you, Rees Zammit is 1 in a million in terms of a rugby player. He is supremely talented, probably one of the best wingers in the world, not just Wales. Any 15 would be happy to have him in their team. They would find a way to put him on the team and start him. If they already had great wingers, they would play him at fullback or outside centre because he's that much of a difference. But when we're talking about such a large pool of players, that uniqueness in skill set starts to diminish a little bit. This is why Jordan Mailata made it as an NFL player, whereas others hadn't. Jordan Mailata had such power coming from, I believe, a rugby league background, but also such size. And that was something that was so freakish compared to what other NFL players are. Offensive linemen generally, bigger guys, can hold their own, do need to be explosive if they're out on the tackles. But Mailata really had the unique skill set that really set him apart from his other colleagues in the sport. I'm not sure Rees Zammit has the skill sets that really set him apart at both that running back and wide receiver position. The other part of it about it as well is that for those of you that are also NFL fans, you'll know the NFL is every year is flooded with wide receivers and running backs. It's by far the most popular position. Famously, running backs are not getting great contracts at the moment because there is such competition for their positions. It's seen that if you don't have a running back, you don't want to waste your salary cap on signing someone really, really good unless they are really special, because you could find someone in the draft in the second, third, or even the fourth round that's very, very serviceable, and you can prioritize your salary cap to something else. Wide receivers, not as scarce as that, but at the same time, every team has got at least 2 wide receivers that, it would be almost impossible to beat out, and they would happily start on another NFL franchise. So he's also picking a position that, as I said, huge amount of pool of players to choose from. So I think that's another element to it as well. I want to finish this off by talking about the possible consequences of Lois Rees Zammit of taking this opportunity to go and play in the international player program. The biggest example that we can see in terms of a lost career here is Christian Wade. Christian Wade tried the same thing. He went over to the international player program. He spent 2 years there. He played for the Buffalo Bills, I believe, on their practice squad. And then he's come back, and you may not even realise this, but he's actually playing for Racing 92 at the moment. I didn't realise that until I saw Racing 92's bench, or their general squad, when they played Bath, when I was having a little bit of a deep dive before watching that game earlier in the season. Now, something has to be said here. Rees Zammit, Christian Wade. Rees Zammit, much better player than Christian Wade. Especially even when he left originally, Christian Wade. Rees Zammit is a more quality player. That has to be said. However, he's signing away 2.5 years of his rugby career, where he could be developing and learning the game and becoming truly exceptional, and he's signed that off to go play a completely different sport. Why is that 2.5 years? Well, we've got half an hour. We wish it was half an hour. We've got half a year left until training camp starts from when he officially signed on to doing the player program. So that's when training camp starts. And how the program works for this international program for the NFL is the players are signed on to a team's squad for 2 years, and the NFL takes on those costs. So from an asset owning standpoint, if you're an NFL team, you're more than happy to bring these guys onto your squad, onto your practice squad, and have them try and develop, because you're not paying for it. And you're going to do that for 2 years because they're signed onto your team. So we've got that half a year before he's actually signed onto a team, and then he's got 2 years where a team will have him and own him and have him as a contract, and they won't be willing to let him go because they've basically got him for free. He's a player for free, and they're not going to let go of that. That's 2.5 years now he's committed. He won't be back to rugby whatsoever. It's a shame, because he's 22 now, I believe. By the time he's finished with the program, he'll be 25, 26. Yes, he can come back, but by that point, many of his peers that are very promising players that are of equal age of 22 years old, they would have developed their skill set and gotten a lot better, whereas he would have been training something completely different and stunted his development to somewhat. He would have the body of a 25, 26-year-old and the same rugby experience as when he left. Now, he's not screwed, right? 25, 26, most players probably hit their peak at 26, 27. There's still a chance for him to do very, very well. He has the talent for it, and I've got no doubt that if he does come back to the rugby, which I think inevitably he will have a chance to be one of the best players again. I just think that rolling the dice on this chance means that you're stopping yourself from being one of the best players maybe ever. He has that potential, we don't know. He's that good at 22. you're capping that at a ceiling because of the amount of playing time that you have. If you're an international rugby player, if you're lucky, you've got 10 years, especially if you're someone that relies on your speed as well. If you're really, really lucky, you've got 10 years. And to just cut 25% of that away, it can have a disastrous effect on a career. And again, Christian Wade is the example. Again, reiterating, he's a much better player than Christian Wade. But I think it would be amiss not to mention that is a factor in this. Anyway, that's the video. I really want to round this out by saying I wish him the best. I will be watching him. Hopefully that he makes it in the NFL. I want him to succeed. I really, really do. Seeing as it seems like it's a dream for him. So that is the main point that I want to get across to you today. But got to take all those factors in that I mentioned. I'll see you the next time.
Illuminati confirmed.